Uh, First of all, let's talk about the quiz that's coming up right after we get back from vacation. Hopefully you're going on vacation. Now, we're behind because normally we would have this finished about right now, but the computer systems are going down, and for the entire college, and will be down until maybe the 15th. No one seems to be able to give me an exact date. So I'm not going to send the exam out right now because you won't be able to access Blackboard and get the information from Blackboard. Emails. So I mean, even if you could finish the quiz, you wouldn't be able to get it to me because the email is going to be down as well. So this is getting into being a little aggravating, but it is what it is. So we have to work with it. I'll send out a reminder about what's going to be on the exam, and we're going to do this as soon as we can around the 15th. As soon as the college computers get up around the 15th, then I'll send out the exam, and it'll be due a week after that. Now, again, like everything else, if you got troubles and you can't do it in a week, let me know and we'll work something out. It'll be sent out as a Word document and needs to be sent back to me as a Word document. Please, if you have to do it as a PDF, I can work with that, but it really should be a Word document. All right, on the exam, you will be responsible for all of the video lectures. So there will be questions about that. You need to, before the computers go down, print out the list of logical fallacies, print out the document I sent out on Plato's myth of the cave. Anything that I've sent out as an announcement, go through those and make sure that you've printed those out while you can. You need to have those with you because, as I say, as soon as close as we can get to the 15th, I'll be sending out the quiz. So you want to make sure you got all of that, maybe studying that over the break. We will be doing chapters 1 through 3. Today, we're going to review chapter 3. It's going to be a short review. There's chapter 3 is, it's important, but he doesn't cover it very well. So we're going to cover this material in more detail later on. The lecture notes from any of the chapter reviews, those typically come out on Friday, like today. So make sure that you go through all of those chapter reviews, and anything I say in those reviews could be on the quiz. And let me reiterate one more time that it's going to be as close to the 15th as possible. Again, a few days here or there, depending on how they come along with the remodeling. That's basically what it is, I think, is a remodeling of the college computer structure. All right, that's the quiz. I'll send out the reminder about this in an announcement in the next day or so. Again, trying to get this out before everything goes kaflooey with the computers. All right. Let's deal with chapter 3, moral objectivism. Now, Dr. Poyman is a moderate objectivist. On the first page or so of the e-text, he covers moral objectivism and moderate objectivism and moral absolutism. He in his teaching is what he calls a moderate objectivist. He goes into just a page or so detail on natural law theory. Now, natural law theory is at least the oldest teaching when it comes to ethics. And so he covers this in a page and a half, which is just crazy. So we're going to go into natural law theory. We're going to devote a lecture or two later on in the course, toward the end of the course, on natural law theory. Now, let me say something here too. He gives a lot of credence to St. Thomas Aquinas's doctrine of double effect. We're going to spend some time on that as well later on. He's absolutely wrong about the doctrine of double effect. There is, and read my lips here, there is no concept at all in any of St. Thomas's writing called the doctrine of double effect. So when you read that, keep this in mind, that this is kind of, I would say, an invention of Aquinas's opponents here. And he considers Aquinas a moral absolutist, which is just absolutely ludicrous. But I mean, that's what the textbook says. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. The only thing that approaches what modern scholars talk about the doctrine of double effect that they attribute to Aquinas is Aquinas's discussion of self-defense in the Summa Theologiae, secondary pars, or second part, question 74, article 7. That's where all of this gets started. And when Aquinas is discussing, it's the only thing he's discussing is the permissibility of self-defense and whether that is philosophically, ethically allowed. So, you know, I don't know how these things, I don't know how stupidity gets promulgated, but it sure does. And this section is simply, at best, unfair to Thomas Aquinas, and at worst, simply an ad hominem and a personal attack. The doctrine of double effect is not a fundamental principle of ethics, but a strategy for reasoning. It is a way of logically reasoning out questions of moral import. And again, you don't have to know all of this and Aquinas' side of this right now, because we're going to spend a good deal of time later on in the course. But just what you do need to know right now is that this is simply an unfair, at best, description of what's going on in St. Thomas Aquinas. So when he talks about the problems with the doctrine of double effect, that you have to take that with a grain of sand, because if this really is not a teaching in ethics, then there's no problem with it. Interesting. You can read what Dr. Poyman says, but again, just don't put that much emphasis on his take on this, because it's not right. Keep on turning on in the chapter, and you'll run across the moderate objectivism heading. You do need to understand and carefully go through this section, because moderate objectivism is one aspect and one very good potential teaching on ethics. So I don't mean to say that being a moderate objectivist is wrong. Poeman does make a good argument for being a moral objectivist, moderate objectivist. It's just that he doesn't properly address St. Thomas. That's the only quarrel I have with this. I don't have a quarrel with moderate objectivism. As a matter of fact, I think one could say that is one of the better positions to hold in ethics. So again, please don't misunderstand what I say when I allege that there's a problem with his treatment of St. Thomas Aquinas. I don't mean to say that there is a problem with moral moderate objectivism. So just keep that in mind. Now, if you are a moderate objectivist, the next subcategory of the moderate objectivism heading in the textbook is core morality. So the argument here is that there are certain things that simply are true of all human beings. We all have, no matter where we're from, what language we speak, we all have a central core of values that are the same. And then he goes on to talk about our common heritage, and our common intellectual heritage is a part of those core principles or moral values. So be sure that you know these 3 or 4 pages here that start with the central heading, moral, moderate objectivism, the discussion of core morality, the discussion of our common human nature, the things we share in common, all of us. That's the central important part and the right part of what Dr. Poeman is up to in this chapter. So that's basically the core moral values. There is the core of this chapter. Then he discusses ethical situationalism, and that unfortunately is pretty weak. Still need to read that, but don't drill down into it like I would like you to do on moderate objectivism and core morality and common human nature. So that's it. That's all that you need to know about chapter 3. Now, I'm sorry?
What about ethical situationalism?
Read it, but you don't have to devote a lot of time to it.
Okay.
It's wrong. His take on ethical situationalism is simply not right. That means you don't need to read the book, but he's right about moderate objectivism and the core morality and the common heritage stuff. Ethical situationalism is a silly doctrine. We'll talk about that later. You need to know the terminology there, but don't assume that he's right about that.
Okay.
Right now, as far as the assignments after this quiz, we are going to skip chapter 4 because we're going to deal with value later when we talk about St. Thomas Aquinas and natural law theory. So that's going to be later in the course. So skip chapter 4, and your next reading after the quiz will start with chapter 5. social contract theory and the motive to be moral. So we're going to deal with 5 and 6 together, because technically 5 and 6 are kind of codependent upon each other. The social contract theory presupposes ethical egoism. In many ways, the ethical egoism chapter should come before the social contract theory. As a matter of fact, let's do it that way. Let's read 6 and 5 in that order, rather than 5 and 6. So read 6 first and then read 5.
Okay.
Let me make a note here so that I make sure that everybody understands that in the next assignment categories. Okay. I don't want to go into any detail here, but you really need to know what ethical egoism is before the social contract, because everything that Hobbes does is based on psychological egoism. So we need to know what that is before we understand the formation of the implicit formation of the social contract. All right, so I'll get this out as a reminder, probably Sunday. Got to check and see when they're taking the computers down, because I got to get this out before then. But sometime in the next day or so, you'll get essentially the instructions for this in an announcement on Blackboard, so that everybody knows the songbook that we're using to sing from. Okay, anybody got any questions?
No.
All right, good. Well, that's it. That was short and sweet. So, or at least short. Good luck on the quiz, everybody. And as you know, I'm right here via email anytime you want to take advantage of me. Just shoot me an email. I'll answer it if I can. If I can't answer it in 25 words or less, then I'll suggest we get together with a Zoom conference, just me and you. So if you need that, you can take advantage of that. You can just ask me anytime, and we'll set up a one-to-one conversation via Zoom. I've already done that for several people, and I'll be glad to do that for anybody. Kind of like office hours via a computer connection. All right, everybody have a good weekend, a great break, and I'll see you on the other side.
Have a good break.
You as well. Bye-bye.